What if I told you that one of the most important decisions in biblical history was not made on a battlefield, not by a king, and not doing a great miracle, but by two men standing on a hill, deciding where they would live? At first it seemed like a simple choice, a practical decision, a matter of land and livestock, but hidden within that moment was a lesson about faith that still speaks to humanity today. Because one man chose based on what he could see, the other chose based on what I had promised, and the difference between those two choices would shape their destinies forever. Abram left Egypt and journeyed back toward the land of Canaan. He did not return empty-handed. His flocks had grown, his herds had multiplied, his wealth had increased. Silver and gold filled his possessions. Yet something even more important accompanied him, his relationship with me. As Abram traveled, he returned to a familiar place, the altar he had built earlier, the place where he had worshipped, the place where he had called upon my name. Notice this carefully. After failure in Egypt, after fear, after mistakes, Abram returned to worship. This is one of the marks of genuine faith. Faithful people may stumble, but they always know where to return. Abram understood that blessings mean little if they are separated from my presence. Lot had also prospered. His flocks were large, his herds were numerous, his possessions continued to increase. What once seemed like a blessing soon became a challenge. The land could no longer support both households together. Their wealth had become so great that there was not enough room for everyone. Soon, conflict began to emerge. The shepherds of Abram argued with the shepherds of Lot. Tension increased. Relationships became strained. What began as prosperity now threatened to create division. How often does this happen even today? People pray for success. They pray for increase. They pray for blessing. Yet when blessings arrive, new challenges often follow. Success tests character just as much as hardship does. Abram understood something important. Peace was more valuable than possession, so he approached Lot. Let there be no strife between us. We are family. Then Abram did something remarkable. Something few people would expect. As the elder, as the one who had received the promise, as the one with greater authority, Abram gave Lot first choice. Imagine standing there. The entire land stretched before them. Mountains, valleys, rivers, fertile plains. Abram could have claimed the best portion for himself. No one would have questioned it. Yet he chose generosity. He chose peace over personal advantage. If you go left, I will go right. If you go right, I will go left. This moment reveals the confidence of a man who trusted my promises. People who trust me do not need to fight for every opportunity. They understand that what I have promised cannot be taken away by another person. Lot looked across the land, and what he saw seemed obvious. The plain of Jordan stretched before him, green, fertile, well-watered, beautiful. Scripture compares it to the Garden of Eden itself. It looked perfect. It looked prosperous. It looked like success. So Lot chose it. At first glance, his decision appeared wise. Most people standing in his position would have made the same choice. Why choose the dry hills when lush valleys are available? Why choose uncertainty when abundance lies directly before you? But there was something Lot failed to consider: the cities near that plain, especially one city, Sodom. Scripture gives a warning. The people of Sodom were exceedingly wicked before me. Lot saw prosperity, but he failed to see danger. This is one of the great lessons of Genesis chapter 13. Not everything that appears attractive is beneficial. Not everything that appears successful is wise. Many people evaluate opportunities only by what they can gain, but wisdom looks beyond immediate rewards. Wisdom considers consequences. Lot pitched his tent toward Sodom. Notice those words. He did not move directly into the city at first. He simply moved closer. One step, one decision, one compromise at a time. This is often how spiritual drift begins, rarely with a dramatic rebellion, more often with small steps in the wrong direction. Meanwhile, Abram remained in Canaan. From a worldly perspective, he may have seemed like the loser. Lot had taken the best-looking land. Lot had chosen the greener fields. Lot appeared to have secured the better future. But appearances can be deceiving, because after Lot departed, I spoke again to Abram. Lift up your eyes. Look north, south, east, and west. Everywhere you look, I will give this land to you and your descendants forever. Imagine hearing those words. Lot chose what looked best, but Abram received what was promised. This is the difference between sight and faith. Sight focuses on immediate gain. Faith focuses on eternal purpose. Then I expanded the promise. Your descendants will become as numerous as the dust of the earth. If someone could count every grain of dust, they could count your offspring. Remember who Abram was at this moment. An aging man, a man without children, a man whose wife was barren. Yet I was speaking about descendants beyond number. Human logic saw impossibility. Faith saw promise. And faith would ultimately prove correct. I instructed Abram to walk through the land, to explore it, to see it, because one day it would belong to his descendants. Abram obeyed. He moved his tent to the plain of Mamre near Hebron, and once again he did something that had become a pattern throughout his life. He built an altar. Notice how the chapter ends, not with wealth, not with possessions, not with land ownership, but with worship. Because Abram understood something Lot did not yet understand. The greatest blessing is not fertile land. The greatest blessing is my presence. Perhaps that is the greatest lesson of Genesis chapter 13. Two men stood before the same opportunity. One chose according to sight. The other trusted according to faith. One pursued what appeared best in the moment. The other trusted the promise that could not yet be seen. And history would reveal which choice carried true blessing. Even today, people face similar decisions. Will they pursue what looks immediately rewarding, or will they trust what I have promised? Will they follow appearance or faith? Will they choose comfort or obedience? The answer to those questions often determines the direction of their future. Abram chose faith, and because he did, his story was only beginning. If this story has deepened your understanding of Scripture, subscribe to Primordial Lore and continue exploring the greatest stories ever told. And now, continue to the next chapter, where war erupts between powerful kings. Lot is captured, and Abram undertakes a daring rescue that reveals a mysterious priest king, unlike anyone seen before.